Welcome to the Privacy Mentor Podcast, your partner in the fight against identity theft, fraud, and cyber threats. I'm your host, Carrie Kursky. Here's a question that we often get is, where should we store our passwords? Because everyone has hundreds and hundreds of passwords nowadays. But I thought we're going to do a little different twist on this. From a lot of the people that Kyle and I work with, we see some bad habits. So we're going to talk about places to never store your passwords. Okay, first one we're going to talk about is storing them in your internet browser. That's who you use to get on the internet, whether you're using Chrome, Firefox, Edge, it doesn't matter what internet browser you're using. All the browsers now have this convenience feature. Got to watch out for the convenience factor. Where it'll ask you when you go to a website and you put in your username and password, and it'll ask if you want to store it. So the next time you go to that website, it'll automatically fill it in for you. It's convenient, right? Sounds great. Well, what happens if that device gets compromised, if your computer gets hacked, or if you fall for one of these phone scams where they put remote access software on your computer? Now the bad guy just fires up your internet and they have all the passwords for all your accounts. Yeah, well, that's what the bad guys want. So do not store your passwords into your internet browser. And actually, you can turn that feature off. You go into the settings, and as far as the actual instructions of how to do this, there are tons of videos out there that will walk you through step by step. But typically, you go into the settings for the browser, and it's usually under like privacy, or might even be a setting called passwords. And you can tell it to never ask to store your passwords. That's the option everyone should have. Never store your passwords in your internet browser. What's the next big one that we see a lot, Kyle, where people store passwords?
Phone contacts.
Phone contacts. That's another one. It's convenient. Again, watch out for that. So people will have an American Express card. They'll have American Express in their contacts. They'll have the phone number for American Express, and they'll also put their card number and their username and password. What happens if that device gets compromised?
Nothing good.
Nothing good. The bad guys now have all your information. So do not store them in your contacts. That is not secured. Another one is in a document or a spreadsheet in their computer. We see this a lot. People will use like a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, or something similar because it's organized, it's easy, and it's on their computer, right? You just open up the document and there they all are. Again, what happens if your computer gets compromised? All those passwords are now exposed. So don't store them on a document or a spreadsheet on your computer. Now you might say, but I have it password protected. Well, password protected is really not the same level of protection as encryption. So a password, all it does is that it tries to prevent somebody from getting access to the file, but they can easily be manipulated. Encryption, it takes the data that's in that file and it scrambles it. So if somebody were to break into that file, it would just be scrambled data. It would be of no use to them. So if you are going to use a document or a spreadsheet, see if you can encrypt that file. If you can't, then find another place to store it. Quick recap of the 3 worst places we see people storing their passwords: their internet browser, their contacts on their phone, or a document or spreadsheet on their computer.
Well, what if I don't want to encrypt my folders or anything like that? Where am I supposed to store my passwords?
That is a good question, and again, one of the number one questions we often get. Here are some better options of where to store them. You could use paper and pencil. I know, it's kind of shocking. People are like, well, but that's the old-fashioned method, and that's not secure. Have you ever heard of anybody's piece of paper getting hacked? No. Now, what could happen is if you don't hide that paper or lock it up, anyone who's in vicinity can take a picture with their smartphone, and now they have all your passwords. So if you are going to use paper and pencil, make sure you lock it up. Another option is you can use a password manager. Those are things like Dashlane, 1Password, LastPass. There are tons of them out there. If you want to use one of these password managers, and they are more convenient because you can access it from anywhere at any device, where if you're on vacation and you need to get into an account and it's on the piece of paper that's back at home, well, that's not very convenient. So for a password manager, if you want to use one, 2 things to look for: encryption at rest and encryption in transit. Encryption at rest protects your passwords when they're sitting on the password manager server. Encryption in transit protects your passwords when it's going from your device to the password manager server. It's that floating in cyberspace is where it's the most vulnerable and somebody could intercept it. But if it's encrypted, it's scrambled. So if it gets intercepted, it's not going to reveal your actual password. It's just scrambled data. Another one, and this is a newer one, Kyle, we've been hearing more and more people asking questions about these and people talking about this. A digital vault.
What's a digital vault?
A digital vault allows you to store digital information, could be passwords, documents, PDFs, Word documents, spreadsheets, whatever it is that you want. It stores it into your own encrypted vault. So if somebody breaks into the digital vault server, the server itself is encrypted. Then they have to find your vault. And then from your vault's encrypted, so they'd have to break through that encryption. And often the files that you have within the vault, those could also be encrypted. So it's much better security, because with the password managers, where they talk about encryption at rest, where it's, protected when it's on their server, but they don't say to what level. It could be that their whole server is encrypted, but if they break that encryption code, then that means everybody's passwords are exposed. But with a digital vault, you can go all the way down to your specific storage file or folder or vault, having it being encrypted. So, and like I said, it's more than just your password. So you can keep tax returns, you can keep wills, all different types of documents that you want to have protected, so they're stored somewhere besides just, in a file cabinet at home. But another thing that I really like about these digital vaults, you can set up a beneficiary. So if something should happen to you, your beneficiary is going to be able to get access to that vault, and they'll be able to get access to your will, your documents, and your list of passwords that you have stored there. Where oftentimes with password managers, some of them might allow that, some might not. So that's a new thing to keep an eye out on. So Kyle, real quick, we're going to wrap things up here for the listeners. Where were the 3 places you should never store your password?
Web browser, in your contacts in your phone, or put them in a document or a spreadsheet in your computer.
Exactly. And where are 3 better alternatives where you could store your passwords?
You can use a passwords manager, a digital vault, or just paper and pencil.
Exactly. So Kyle and I want to thank you all for joining us here again this week. And until next time, stay safe, my friends.